Welcome, everybody, to the 2-8 Fantasy Football Show. Lots to discuss. Lots going on. Good, bad, ugly. We'll see how it goes. Let's get into the waiver wire show today on the 208. So hit the subscribe button, like the show, and let's have a little fun. Show starts right now. What is up, fellas? How are we doing?
Let's go!
Man, lots and lots and lots to discuss today for sure. Oh my gosh, there's injuries and injuries and injuries and injuries. And who do you pick up? So we're going to cover all of it today.
This was one of those weekends where I was reminded why I love fantasy football. After last weekend when I was like, I quit, I suck, I'm terrible. I don't want to play fantasy football anymore. And then this week I had enough close games that I was like, ooh, gets the people going. I was ready to rip this. It was great. It was a great weekend of football.
Yeah, that's true. It was hard for me to watch a lot of games because I barely got by my guillotine league by 4 points. And I just, the Sunday night game, I could not watch. Like, I was like, I got to go to bed. I can't watch this. I'm so nervous. So, I'm still alive. I had to spend some cash this weekend on some waivers, which I really don't want to do, but I got to get different quarterbacks. So.
Yeah.
Yep. Different quarterbacks, guys we didn't think would do well, and guys that are doing, all kinds of stuff going on. And who knew? Marvin Harrison Jr. I didn't know he'd be good at football. Huh? Who knew? Wow. Just be patient for sure. So, well, gentlemen, let's jump right into it. Lots of news to talk about, but let's get into it.
What's going on?
Chance, what do you got for us?
Oh man, guys. Hey, it's injury season. And crazy, just before I get into the injuries, right? I saw a stat that 1/3 of the first and second round draft picks on ESPN are hurt. So like, it's not just you. Of the first and second round in a 10-team league, that 20 players, 1/3 of them are out or hurt. So don't worry. It happens. It feels like it's worse this year than ever before, but I think we've said that before. And you know what? You got to stay water, man. A couple dozen things news-wise. The biggest injuries. Isaiah Pacheco fractured. Was it fibula? One of the ibulas in his leg. Isaiah Pacheco fractured.
It's fib. Yeah.
Fibula out 6 to 8 weeks, which we're going to talk about the ramifications of that in our waiver wire pickups. The Rams, having lost Puka to IR, now have Cooper Kupp injured, and he is an IR candidate. So you have Cooper Kupp who could go on IR. After playing, Deebo Samuel had a calf strain, expected to miss at least a couple weeks. A.J. Brown, hamstring, which at least he had the courtesy of letting us know on Sunday and not Monday. So you could hopefully react to that. A.J. Brown, hamstring, a couple weeks. If you watched football Thursday night, Tua's back on IR. He'll be out a while. Sounds like he's not considering retirement. Marshawn Lloyd, the backup for the Packers, went on IR. Joe Mixon was banged up. Young was benched. Bryce Young for the Panthers, he was benched. Andy Dalton's looking to start there. And the Dolphins ended up signing Tyler Huntley, and the Chiefs signed Kareem Hunt. Okay, let me breathe from all those big time injury updates.
Yeah, lots of updates, lots going on. Chance, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just gonna say, there are big names left and right that are hurt, and that's not including guys like Justin Jefferson. He had a thigh contusion. He was questionable. Joe Mixon, it sounds like his ankle injury isn't serious, but they might be precautionary with him. There's a lot going down in the NFL right now. Week 2, baby.
It's only week 2. Absolutely. Only week 2. Things are starting to shake up a little bit. What happens every year, and Justin and I were talking a little bit about the show before the show. weeks 1 through 4 are literally just we've drafted. You don't win your league off the draft, I promise. That's just step 1. And then you take the snow globe and you shake it up really hard, and things start going right, things start going wrong, and the things start leveling out a little bit. Like, okay, now after about week 3 or 4, you can kind of see, all right, things are starting to settle a little bit. I think that kind of leads us into, Justin, for you, let's jump right into it. What are the big takeaways that you saw in week 2? You can do 1 or 2 here for sure.
So I think my biggest thing is, like, can we just start playing preseason games again? Can we just start letting starters do that? Like, I feel like there has to be some sort of correlation. Like, I think Matt sent me this text or something, a stats like this, like the least amount of touchdowns we've seen in like 10 years. I think it's been 70 because there were 67 to start the Monday night games. I think 3 touchdowns got scored. So we're at 70 total touchdowns in 2 weeks, and like that's full, no buys, no nothing. It's just been hard to watch good offensive football, especially for me and Matt, and Chance got involved this week with Denver. Like, watching bad offense sucks, man. I got to watch good offense for about 1 minute and 42 seconds last night, and it was awesome. I was like, let's just do this every time. Why can't we just do this every drive?
Yeah.
Chance alluded to the injuries, but I'm just going to go through all the injuries. So Tua, J.J. McCarthy, Lloyd, CMC, Chubb, Dillon, Mitchell, Estime, Miller, Brooke, Luka, Hollywood, Odell, Hawkinson, Higbee, Amon-Ra, Cup, Pearsall, Downs, Ken Walker, Jordan Love, Keenan Allen, Adunze, Addison, Ferguson, Njoku, Higgins, Mostert, Justin Jefferson, Tajee Spear, Tank Bigsby, Taysom Hill, Isaiah Pacheco, Jameson Williams, Josh Palmer, A.J. Brown, Evan Ingram, Rachaad White, Joe Mixon, Justin Herbert, and Deebo Samuel. Like, I feel like this is an anomaly year. Like someone put a screenshot on Twitter. Their whole lineup was out. Their kicker was out. The only guy that they had that could play was their defense.
It was wild. I saw that. I saw that screenshot.
Yes.
I was like, there's no way that this has been like every year. I'm just so confused, but
unreal, guys. It's been unreal.
If you watch the show, you get anything about it, you are going to have to scour the waiver wire this year. You're going to have to, and it's going to be week-to-week basis. Like, you're going to have to be savvy this year with all these injuries.
Yeah, when you do scavenge hunt for that waiver wire, and you do find a couple of guys, you're going to find what diamond in the rough for sure. You know, that's always the hope. But hopefully you'll find somebody will pop off a little bit, and then you can package with somebody to make a trade for somebody too. So, because if all our guys are hurt, somebody else is hurting too. You got to understand the needs and the wants of other teams and other managers. So, good takeaway, Justin. Chance, how about you?
Man, I just feel like, to echo what Lineberry said, I feel like, and I've been waiting for this as a fantasy manager. Okay, I remember when I got into fantasy football, it was like the golden age of running backs. You know, like they were an RB1 was like the crucial thing ever. And I feel like with the reduction in touchdowns that have been thrown, you know, like, I feel like we are coming back to the return of the running back. That cover high, the cover 2 high safety defense that has been real prominent in the league for the last 2 years. It's like the number
Two
one.
high shell.
Two high shell. It's been thanks. I got to talk to my actual coaches that are on here. I love football. Don't coach it. That cover shell, it has been used to prevent big plays from big time receivers. And I feel like teams are starting to say, okay, cool. We're going to stay water. You figured out our tricks. Now we're just going to play bully ball, and we're going to take the yards that you're going to give us. If you're going to back guys up to protect from the big play, we'll just run the ball. And I think you're seeing that more and more. And like, I feel like I have seen more and more big time running back performances, like the running backs that are studs. Their stud games have been stud games. And you are getting less and less of those awesome stud performances from, you know, I felt like it was every Joe Bill wide receiver could have a big game. Now it's really separating, hey, your dudes are your dudes. You're Justin Jefferson. I take it back. He is quarterback proof, right? Like, I take back all my slander from him.
Nasty.
He's nasty. Did you see that quote he said where they're like, oh, how are you going to deal with the Niners coverage? Like, they shut down Garrett Wilson. He's like, respectfully, I'm not Garrett Wilson. And he wasn't. He balled out. And you're getting the resurgence of, like, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold are leading the league as far as quarterbacks go. What are we doing? What's going on? It's the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, almost bizarro world for sure.
Love it.
A couple of takes away, and Josh actually brought up one I was thinking about earlier, and we're going to talk to you, Chance. But key takeaway for me, and I'm really disappointed, but the Panthers are just not good. I don't think they're going to be good. They're a little bit in trouble. I thought maybe Bryce Young would turn it around a little bit, and as of right now, they're benching him, and we talked about that. They're just not good. I think everybody on their team is benchable. I don't think you need to start any of them. A few of them are droppable, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Panthers, horrible. I was really disappointed. My Bears are also, the offense is disappointing. I'm disappointed in Tillman looking at them. That's my second takeaway. There's some glimpses, but it feels like their offensive line couldn't stop a nosebleed. And Caleb's running for his life constantly. And he's doing some really good things. But the Bears right now, where they're traditional, defense first, offense second, even though all the hype and everything was around the Bears offense, that defense is solid, and we'll kind of go from there. But I do want to pull up Josh's. Thanks for joining, Josh, by the way. Hey, if you haven't hit that subscribe button and like button, make sure you do that. But he had this question. I don't know about Bo Nix, guys. Chance, I'm going to let you respond to that in your Broncos. Bo Nix had that, they questioned, said, hey, can you walk us through the pick? He's like, I threw the ball to the wrong guy.
To the wrong guy. I love it. I love that answer.
I'll say this.
That's a great answer.
So I watched all of both games, right? And I think that what Sean Payton wanted to do with Bo Nix isn't really coming to fruition the way he wanted. But I also watched a game where nobody on that offense is helping Bo Nix out. The number of drops that his wide receivers had in their hands that they just dropped was astronomical. It felt like it was crazy. Now, they played Seattle, and I think in both the Seattle game and in the Steelers game, when Bo Nix was under pressure and he had to make a drive happen, he made drives happen. They lost to the Steelers, and he did not look good. But I think we could all agree that the Steelers are a top 5, top 10 defense. Like, he had to play against a defensive player of the year candidate in TJ Watt. Like, they have some absolute dudes. So for me, game wrecker. So for me, I'm not going to jump on and say, oh my gosh, Bo Nix, terrible. He's fine. Okay. It's okay. He has the same number of touchdowns as Jaden Daniels, passing touchdowns, the same number of passing touchdowns as Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and JJ McCarthy. Okay. So which is 0. And that's okay. I've watched the Broncos both games. I still feel optimistic. I think Bo Nix is going to be fine. I knew coming in he was going to take his lumps. He plays the Jets next week. It's not going to be pretty. But I've also watched the Broncos enough to see them look bad, be absolutely crapped on by the media, and then go on some crazy run where they're like, oh my gosh, they have a chance. And then my hopes get up and it's great. And then it drops back down. I've lived long enough to know that's how it's going to play out.
It's true.
I think it's important to separate the fandom from fantasy. I think from fantasy football world, you got to wait on Bo Nix. He's probably not, you're not starting him. There's really no offensive help at this point, but I liken a lot to Caleb Williams, to be honest. It's fair. It's like, I don't think anybody's going to start Caleb Williams on that offense or in their fantasy leagues right now, and maybe even get dropped. So, hey, if you guys are watching, you have questions, man, ask questions. We're here to help you and answer your questions and come to a consensus and help you win your league, win your week. We're talking week 3 today, right? So let's jump right in. I want to jump right into our waiver wire. Let's see what we have got going on for waiver wire. Let's roll. So right out of the gate, what we did is we each picked 4 players in the defense. And we're going to talk about each one. And first up, Chance, these are your guys. Tell us why you want these guys for week 3.
Okay, so I'm just going to start with this. And I think that when we talk about the Isaiah Pacheco injury, okay, you could talk to all 3 of us and get a different answer as far as what you think or who you think is worth playing or worth picking up on the waiver wire. For me, I am full steam ahead on Carson Steele. Okay. Crocodile Steele, as his nickname is in the locker room for Kansas City. So here's what I love about Carson Steele. Okay. I think we know who Samaje Perine is. And the Chiefs, they did go get Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is old. He has been on the streets for a reason. Samaje Perine, we know exactly who he is. And there is every chance in the world that the Chiefs regress to running the ball through the air with Patrick Mahomes. But I saw Carson Steele at UCLA. Dude is fun, okay? The dude is a beast. 6'1", 227. He's a mammoth of a man, okay? Plays fullback. But I watched you go and watch some of his highlights. This guy runs angry. He is fun to watch run. And every year there is that waiver wire pickup that has high upside, okay? Every waiver wire pickup can have a seriously low floor. But to me, if I have to run the risk of picking up one of these running backs, give me the Chiefs running back that I think has the highest upside. He is the only UDFA on the Chiefs that had a top 30 visit with the Chiefs. They brought him in as a top 30 visit as a rookie. So they liked him. They liked what they saw in him. He made the roster over Deneric Prince, who'd been with the team for a long time. And I think if you look at Andy Reid saying, I like a guy, and he has a ton of hype in that locker room. There's a lot of guys who like his story. Give me Carson Steele. I think he's explosive. I think he's fun. I think he's fast. And he's going to get goal line work. So to me, he's the pickup. He's the pickup running back wise for the Chiefs of those three. Now you guys have your opinions. Great. Oh, I'm after Crocodile Steel, which is his nickname because he owns a pet alligator. The dude owns a pet alligator. Okay, he looks like
for those. He does for sure. For those that are fab, right? How much fab percent wise would you drop on Steel for you?
I'm crazy in the head. I would drop 15 to 20% of my fab for him. Because I think you only get a shot at a guy like this who took, and again, he's not Isaiah Pacheco. I get that. But Isaiah Pacheco is drafted in the first or second round of your leagues. So if you have a guy who can back him up on a good offense that's gonna see the goal line, to me, he could, if he hits, he's gonna be a guy that you won't just put in 1 or 2 weeks. Isaiah Pacheco's out 6 to 8 weeks. He could be an 8-week league winner. So for me, I'm going to run that risk at 20%. Not often do you get a running back opportunity that could be a starter for 8 weeks with this upside.
Fair enough. On to your next guy.
The rest of my guys, I won't spend as much time on. I'm just a big fan of Carson Steele. So he played at Ball State. He played at UCLA. I like it. My other guy is Andy Dalton. Okay. Now there are a lot of great waiver wire pickups, streamers. Derek Carr is probably available. We'll talk about some of those guys. But to me, the last time Andy Dalton played football for the Carolina Panthers, he had 58 passing attempts, completed 34 of those for 361 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay. That to me is, I think he's going to come in, and I don't think all of the weapons in Carolina are all of a sudden dead or toast. I think all of a sudden you better not drop Deontay Johnson, because if they want to run the offense through him, now you have a quarterback who can get him the ball, who can manage those short yardage, can throw the ball around the yard. Xavier Legette, maybe even Adam Thielen, who balled out when Andy Dalton played with him. I think Andy Dalton's going to be a good pickup. I think there's guys I would pick up ahead of him, but if you're in a pinch or in a 2-quarterback league, Andy Dalton worth a snag for sure. Alex Pierce, also my guy. Alex Pierce last year, he ran wind sprints. He was on the field so much. He ran like over 75% of his routes he was just running down the field wide open. And I have a hot take. I think quarterbacks. I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry. I don't think Anthony Richardson.
Say it again. Say it again, Chance. You kind of cut out.
Yeah, you broke up.
Anthony Richardson is not going to finish in the top 12 of fantasy quarterbacks. I think Anthony Richardson is not good. And I think that is tough. I've watched him play 2 weeks. He looks as bad as any of the rookies to me. Yeah, he's a stud. He can run it. I get it. Currently, he has eyes for Alex Pierce. Okay, he can either run the ball, throw incompletions, or bomb it. And Alex Pierce has a touchdown in each of the the first 2 games. So if you're looking for a guy who's a high upside boom guy, go get Alex Pierce. Right now, the rapport with Alex Pierce looks better than that with Adonai Mitchell, looks better than that with Michael Pittman. Josh Downs isn't back yet. He will be back. I would say try to pick up Josh Downs if you could. He could be a deep league stash. Alex Pierce is worth a pickup for me. And then my last one.
Before you go, I do want to. So Alec Pierce is one of my guys before you took him for adding. I do think you add him. I think he's going to be, even if Downs comes back, right? I think Pierce will still have a significant role in this offense. If for some reason Downs does come back or doesn't come back, and I don't think AD Mitchell is it. I think, right, everybody's healthy. Pierce still stays on. Mitchell's splitting time with somebody else. Pierce is the guy for right now. I won't disagree with you on Anthony Richardson. I do worry a little bit that there's a Jamarcus Russell component, but we'll see, right? Because that would be a big bust. A guy that can run the ball and sling it a mile but can't do anything else. So we'll see. The jury's still out, but I'm still hopeful. But yeah, I do like Pierce a lot as probably a wide receiver 3.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
I'm just saying I was a week early on Alex Pierce. Just put it out there.
Nice.
I like that. Fair enough. Yep, that's good. Yep.
I like that. And my last one, because I was rude enough to poo-poo on Matt's receipt about how much he loved AR5, I'm going to take a victory lap, and it's only week 2, but Mike Gesicki looks legit in that Cincy offense. He had a ton of targets the first week. He had 9 targets last week, or 9 catches last week, and he looks like, especially with T. Higgins out, and when teams double team Jamar Chase, Mike Gesicki has been really effective in this offense. And that's to say, I don't know if Gesicki is going to be a great long-term play this year, but I think if you need to stream a tight end for the next 2 or 3 weeks, as Higgins comes back from his injury, as Jamar Chase, who sat out the preseason waiting for a contract, as he gets back in, I think Mike Gesicki is going to be a really good pickup and could get you some really good points, especially in a year where name me another top tight end outside of McBride who's showed up and been worth a poop as far as your top 5 or 8 drafted tight ends.
Yep. I don't know.
No, agreed. Gesicki seemed to fit really, really well in that offense. I'm all in on him too. It's really what they needed. We were hoping like Irv Smith Jr. was last year. Also, keep an eye on Burton, right? I mean, that's a little nugget. Keep an eye on him. He had a couple of catches and had a decent game. So
they're going deep to him.
Those are all chills are all chances pickups. Go get these guys. Don't be afraid to pick them up. And your defense, you already talked about.
My defense, just real quick, is the Saints. I do think the Saints play the Philadelphia Eagles, who the Philadelphia Eagles have had 6 straight games where they have not been able to touch the quarterback in a sack. Okay, going back to last year. Okay, 6 straight games where they have had 0 sacks. Okay, Derek Carr's slinging it, and it looks like their secondary, the Eagles secondary, it's not coming together the way they wanted it to. So I am wheels up. I mean, Saints defense, I think they're going to do a good job against the Eagles offense. I don't think the Eagles offense is fantastic.
This game will be very interesting with the Saints and the Eagles because I think it matches up quite nicely to what preliminary the Falcons Saints would look like later. So,
ooh, yeah.
Justin, we'll see how it goes. All right, fellas. Moving on here. Let me get to you. I can hear him for a second. There we go. Justin, we'll get to your waiver wire stuff.
Nice. I get to talk about a Patriots
hold on.
player.
I got it. There we go. Here we go. Right out of the gate. Here's your guys. Tell us what you think.
So I know Josh is watching. So Josh is like my best friend. We've known each other for a long time. But I have to talk about a Patriots player, which I feel a certain way about the Patriots. But man, Hunter Henry. You know what his target share is in this offense right now? Can you guys just give me a percentage?
75%.
That's what it feels like, right? That's what it feels like, right? It's 32%.
Sheesh.
That is crazy. He has 68 yards after catch, and he has 80% snap percentage. Like Chance said, like Those are probably the main stats. Not so much yak. I mean, I think target would probably be my third stat that I'm looking at. That where I'm chasing tight end. So he has over 80% snap rate, 32% target rate. Like, he's been really good. I don't know how good this offense is going to be, but if he's like, I'll take number ones in offenses, especially his tight ends, every single time. So I mean, if he's there and you're hurt at tight end, you had Sam Laporta maybe putting the stinkers in, and Njoku got hurt, Ferguson got hurt. Go take a shot on Hunter Henry or Gesicki. Those are two guys that should get targets. It may not be pretty, but that's what you want from tight ends.
I just want to. My favorite stat from the whole weekend of football was that Hunter Henry had 109 yards for the Patriots. Do you know how many yards Jacoby Brissett threw for?
Probably 112.
149. 100. Only 40 yards went to somebody other than Hunter Henry. That's wild to me.
He just threw it in the dirt.
Oh.
All right, the next one, Derek Carr. I saw this on Twitter. I wish I could give them credit, but I just thought it was the funniest thing I saw. So Derek Carr is the Saints are dropping 40 pieces like they're at McDonald's right now. It's absolutely nuts. They are just like they killed the Cowboys. It was not a close game. Alvin Kamara said like you guys, like I'm gonna smack you guys. Micah Parsons went on his podcast and said like they're good. Like they smoked us. Like we weren't ready to go. So it's a super funny stat. So every election year, Derek Carr just balls out. So I think we all remember Derek Carr's like 1 year where like he's MVP, like he's gonna be an MVP, and then he broke his leg.
Was that an election year?
It's 2016.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
So he was just balling out. So I think he only played 12 games, right around there. But he threw for 3,900 yards, 28 touchdowns to 6 INTs in 2016 when he got hurt. In 2020, he had his best quarterback rating. He threw for 4,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And right now, his quarterback rating is 142. Like he's not going to run the ball a ton, but he has a 76% completion percentage, over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. Like he is going off. Him and Shaheen, just they got something working down there. They're scary. Like I think we played them in week 4 or week 5, and I thought that was going to be an easy game for us, and now I'm a little scared. But I think Chance has a little bit more background when it comes to their new OC, Clint Kubiak, coming from the Kubiak tree. Coming from his dad was Gary Kubiak, who won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. Was he the OC, or was it John Fox, the head coach?
He was the OC.
So he's the OC when they won that Super Bowl. But maybe Chance gave us whatever the hidden secret is to that Kubiak offense that he just pop it off.
Well, I'll just say the Saints went from the team in the league last year. They had the lowest percentage of motion in the league last year. They currently lead the league in percentage of plays that have a motion. So they're just moving players around. They are getting players in motion. They are being dynamic. They're getting them. Pre-snap motion is such a huge part of what Baby Kubiak's doing. So I mean, I think they're just trying to be more dynamic, and it's paying off.
Huge. Yeah, so like pre-snap read, I mean, from a football coach standpoint, Matt probably agrees. Like, it just gives you so much information pre-snap of what the defense is doing. Like, there's not a lot they can have. They're playing man or zone. Like, there's going to be some kind of shift. It just gives you a lot of information, a lot of feedback, and it's pretty easy for those quarterbacks in the NFL to get that information and understand it and be able to be like, this guy should be open. So that's why you get a lot of those viral clips of, hey, I'm coming here. Okay, it's like, no, you're not. Like, I know, like, you have to play this certain coverage based off of that pre-match. Next guy, me and Matt talked about this last week, and I right when we got the podcast, I was like, I swear it's gonna be Quentin Johnson now. Because I said my start of the week was either gonna be Josh Palmer or Ladd. I was like, one of these guys is gonna go off, and I was like, watch, it's gonna be Quentin Johnson. And of course, it was Quentin Johnson. So snap percentage. The first 2 games has been over 70%, which is awesome. What you're looking for. Had 5+ targets a game. Good. What you're looking for. It seems like Harbaugh just like wills guys to be great. Like he's been gassing up Quentin Johnston. it feels like all offseason, like, hey, we're gonna get him right, we're gonna get him this, we're gonna get him that. Matt alluded to it in the offseason, like, this guy cannot catch a ball with his hands. He's a body catcher. I mean, he went off, had 2 touchdowns. He has a 25% target share, and I love Justin Herbert. I think I think Harbaugh is a really good coach. I think he is worth a flyer this week. See what he is. Josh Palmer got hurt. I think Ladd is not an outside guy. He's definitely an inside guy. So I think he's worth a flyer. I think he has a pretty low floor, like Chance has alluded to. But like, man, if he can play how he played last week, man. I mean, again, he played against the Panthers, so you gotta take that with a grain of salt because they're real bad. The next guy is, I think, all 3 of ours crushes in the draft. We all love Braylon Allen. I think Chance was the conductor of that thing. 17-year-old, just a freak in college when he was in there. He's just killing it. He's 20 years old. Like, I don't know if he'll ever get the snap percentage, the carries that you will need, but it was very motivating to see Nathaniel Hackett use 2 running back sets. If the Jets are smart, that should be their base offensive package. I let Garrett Wilson play out there and just play with those 2 guys, and you can run play action off of them so hard. You know, Brees can catch the ball. He can play wide receiver. You can run him out of the backfield. You can motion him to go play slot, and let Braylon just be a battering ram. So I think he'll get some run, but also as well is Brees could get hurt. We've already seen a bunch of these guys get hurt. Good insurance to have. If you have Brees and you don't have Braylon, you need to have him on your team. No ifs, ands, and buts. And then my last point, the Raiders are playing the Panthers. That's all I have to say. That's why you pick up their defense.
Yeah, all good pickups, all solid. If you need them on your team, go get them. Taking a quick pause here, Brady. I see your question. We're going to get to it right after our waiver wire pickup here. So I'm going to jump into mine, and I'll go through quick. Samaje Perine. So Kansas City running back situation, it makes it very interesting. I know Chance brought up Steele. I'm bringing up Perine, and they also signed Kareem Hunt. So I'm a little bit worried, and somebody's going to go pick him up in our league, right? There'll be 3 running backs out there, KC, because everybody wants a piece of this KC offense. So to me, I like Steele. He could be the next Peyton Hillis, right? Could be that guy. Just
I love that.
Get after it, right? Just get it done.
Yes, sir.
However, we have seen this before with KC. We've over and over and over where somebody gets hurt and everybody starts throwing fab. You can, and I just kind of list here: Spencer Ware, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Damian Williams, Charchandrick West, Niles Davis. You get the flavor I'm coming from. We all had hopes for these guys, and they just never really panned out to what we hoped for. So I'm a little bit hesitant. I think it's worth a flyer with this KC offense. It's okay to do it. To me, go ahead and get Perine or Steele. Hunt's interesting, but try to get a piece, and then kind of you're rolling the dice is what I'm getting at. So Fields is a guy that I like. Look, he looks halfway decent. You know, if you're in a Q2B league, he's worth, if he's sitting out there, grab him. Put him in your starting lineup. He's a starting QB. They're doing okay. His upside is his feet, and that is fantasy football magic for QBs. So, again, late flyer. We all talked about the third one here, Demarcus Robinson. He is the new number 1 for the Rams. You got to get him. Probably should have picked him up last week. Chance told you to do it. And if you didn't do it, he's still out there, go get him. Stafford's got to throw to somebody, and that offense is going to still go through Stafford. In addition to that, you have Colby Parkinson, tight end. He's going to be the tight end 1, 2 receivers down. He's going to get more targets for Stafford. So just go out and get those guys and be comfortable with that Rams offense. They're still decent, and they have to throw to somebody. Both of them are going to get more looks. The Bears defense, I was complaining about Caleb Williams early on. I think my Bears offense doesn't look good. They still got plenty of work to do, but that Bears defense looks pretty darn good. If they're out there on waiver wires, I'm willing to put them up against anybody in their division or the rest of the season. Get the Bears, plug them in there, and you can let them just play. They're a solid defense. We got a defensive-minded coach. Put the Bears in there, let them roll, especially this week. So I went through mine real quick. Anything to add on our waiver wire pickups, gentlemen?
No, I I think the Demarcus Robinson is a great pickup. He's a guy that I tried to get with a last pick in a couple of leagues, and so in half of my leagues, I don't have to go to the waiver wire for him because he was a last round flyer pickup that I didn't want to pay off with Cooper Kupp and Puka going out, but here it is,
Yep, for sure. So in order sometimes to pick up players, you have to drop players. So we're going to talk about 3 players that you probably need to drop, and it's okay to drop. Let's get into that segment right now. Let them loose. Cut them loose. Here we go. Drop them 3 players. Chance, go ahead and start off with your guy.
Hey, we talked about this early on. I think that not only is it tough to watch the Broncos offense right now, but Cortland Sutton really hasn't stepped up to be that guy. I mean, Bo Nix, he loved Devon Vele early on. And then Josh Reynolds was actually, he might be a sneaky PPR pickup because those are the guys that that Bo Nix is targeting. He has not targeted Cortland Sutton at a rate that makes me say Cortland Sutton should be a guy. I would rather have a good wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 2 on a good team than a wide receiver 1 on an abysmal bad team, And the only difference between Cortland Sutton and DJ Moore is that you drafted DJ Moore higher, so you can't drop him. Like, that's it. I think DJ Moore might be droppable, but you drafted him really high, so you didn't draft Cortland that high. I think Cortland's an easy drop. No offense shots at DJ Moore for you boys, because I know you both love him. But, if you have a rookie that's not performing well, give me Jameson Williams or Demarcus Robinson, who's going to be the one in a Sean McVay offense, over Cortland Sutton.
It's fair. I like that as well. Moving on to number 2. Justin, you want to talk about Allen Lazard?
I didn't understand last week why people were just dropping absurd amount of money on Lazard. Like, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't think he's good. I think he's really good friends with Aaron Rodgers, and that's the only reason he has a job. So he's not the focal point. There's 2 guys better than him. Mike Williams should be playing instead of him. I just didn't understand it. I don't think he's playable. I think and I hope the Jets start to rely on that run game with my Braylon Allen take. I think that's what they should do. Their offensive line is a power O-line. They should not pass block a ton. They should not put the ball. I mean, if they put the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands, it should be play action stuff. Okay, they should rely heavily on Brees, who's one of the best players in the league, not just running backs, and Braylon, who looks like a stud. I would not keep Lazard. I think the only rosterable player on the Jets in redraft is Garrett Wilson.
Yep. This happens every year too, you guys. So pay attention. Somebody goes off and we run out there to grab them, and then they don't do anything the rest of the season. Be mindful. Understand what's going on. The game script just went that way with Lazard, who found himself open, and Aaron Rodgers was able to find him. So I agree with you, Justin. You picked him up, and now you probably need to let him go. Hopefully, you didn't drop any fab on him if you're in that type of a league. But it's okay. Let him go. He's not going to do much. Or if somebody really wants him, try to trade him away. The third guy on here, Curtis Samuel, is my guy. Look, I was kind of high on Curtis Samuel to begin with because I like him. He's kind of gadgety for the Bills, but he's not getting any targets. He had 1 reception for 3 yards against the Dolphins and 2 receptions for 15 yards against the Cardinals. There's too many other weapons around. We all thought with bringing over the OC with Curtis Samuel and kind of putting them back together, maybe he'd get a little more gadgety, and he really hasn't done anything. I'm 100% okay to drop Curtis Samuel. He's not worth even a flex spot, let alone a 3. So cut him loose. Maybe he does something later, but these other guys that we suggested, I would rather have all of them over Curtis Samuel right now. So keep that in mind. All right. Kind of moving into some of these questions, and Brady, let's get right into yours. This is really good questions. I have Rice, Devontae Smith, Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr. I need an RB. What's the move? Justin, let's start with you. What are your thoughts with Brady's move?
I want to know who Justin's picks here, because I got a guy that I'm like, for sure, trade this guy right now in redraft. I'm so excited, Justin. Tell me who you're trading.
It's Neighbors.
It is. It's 100% Neighbors.
It is.
Hey,
100%
so
Neighbors.
the reason I think Neighbors is gonna be a stud. Like, If you have him in Dynasty, he is untouchable right now. Okay, Neighbors just had how many targets did he have? Like 19? Just a dumb amount of targets last week. So Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. He will probably not be there next year. I saw a little thing like the Giants should trade a conditional second for Bryce Young and just see if you can fix him. And just see what he is. I think they're going to be drafted a quarterback this year or next year. I think Daniel Jones is done. If you can get Neighbors, someone that like maybe a Giants fan or whatever it is, I think some realistic players you could get are James Cook, maybe Alvin, maybe Josh Jacobs, Devon Achane, maybe Travis Etienne, Ken Walker, who didn't play last week. Maybe people forgot what he did last week. Those are some guys.
I got a great one that I think if you were to send the Neighbors trade to this running back's owner, it would go through. And I think we are not talking enough about this running back. Send the Brian Robinson owner a trade for Malik Neighbors. I think Brian Robinson is currently running back for 7 on the year. That's 31 total points.
Really?
Yeah. He's not 7. He's top 12. What is he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Still
6,
RB1.
7, 8. Still an RB1, right? Brian Robinson right now with Washington.
You could probably get something else with that.
Smaller year. You absolutely could. And I think you're going to go get a good running back on a team that I don't think the Washington's great, but they're going to be in positions to keep scoring. Brian Robinson has looked explosive. He's looked good. And Austin Eckler has not looked like a major part of this offense. So to me, like if you're gonna go trade a guy, and I think it's gonna be really hard. Some of those other guys, like maybe Tony Pollard's another good name to bring up because he might be the guy in Tennessee right now with Tajay Hurt. But you kind of got to find those guys if you're gonna trade Neighbors, and you could trade them high. I'm not saying you couldn't get. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you could get James Cook or Achane. Like, I don't think you can get one of those top dogs for Neighbors because running back's so scarce. But you go to a guy like Brian Robinson, who is the one on his offense who's scoring fantasy points. He's not a sexy name. He's the wrong B. Robinson. Okay, that's what everyone's gonna say. But if you're gonna trade Neighbors off of this performance for a guy who's getting the ball, I think that's a totally doable thing. That's the name that comes up to me that I think you could totally get that done.
The one spin I would do, because you kind of stole my thunder a little bit with Pollard, because I think that could get done pretty easy. Neighbors with Pollard.
Yeah.
No, it's great minds think alike. That's how it works.
Yes, we do.
So I want to take a little bit of different spin to it because it's hard to know with the rest of your roster. But I'm also okay with this. Looking at your wide receivers here, I'm assuming it's a 2 wide receiver. If it's 3 wide receiver, I don't know. We'd have to know the construct of your team. I am okay at this point selling high on Devontae Smith and getting a Jacobs, right? If you still had Neighbors, Harrison, and Rice, you're in really good shape. And I know the thing is, I think you can get a little bit of a premium with Smith with AJ Brown out right now. So keep that in mind. It may be worth doing. AJ Brown comes back, Devontae Smith's value goes down a little bit, but either way, I think those are the 2 guys, and go get those guys that we suggested. Tony Pollard, a Josh Jacobs, or Brian Robinson Jr. I like those trades as well.
I just want to echo that. Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd's on IR. Like they literally have no one, and as long as
AJ Dillon's out for the year, yeah.
Yes,
I think so. But
because it's a neck injury.
Malik Washington. Who's there? Willis.
Willis, yeah.
Malik Willis. No, I'm talking the quarterback for that.
Yeah, it's Malik Willis.
They're going to run the ball with Josh Jacobs. They have no one else. They're going to continue to run the ball. And then when Jordan Love comes back, now all of a sudden you have more goal line opportunities. So I think Josh Jacobs is going to continue to be a good running back throughout this year. And I would agree. I think you could sell high on Devontae Smith because eventually Brown's coming back and maybe the Eagles aren't as good as we think they are.
Maybe. Yeah, so there's a couple ideas, Brady. Explore it. One thing about trading, it's hard to, you may have to send out 3 or 4 or 5 trades to get that running back that you want. And don't start off with what you want. Start off with something a little bit more, a little bit less, and start to wheel and deal. It takes a lot of work. I think a good rule of thumb is you got to send out 10 trades just to get one done. So Keep that in mind. Josh, Josh has got a really good question. It's kind of intriguing. Is Tutu Atwell a good pickup for a deep league? Chance, let's go with you let's start with you.
I'll say this. Tutu Atwell, he only played 19% of snaps this last week. 19% of snaps, and he had 3 catches on 4 targets. Here's the thing. When he's in the game, Matt Stafford targets him. It's like Matt Stafford really likes Tutu Atwell and likes to throw the ball to him. But their offense says, well, we're just not going to put him in as much. But when he's on the field, he gets the ball. So I do think he's a really good stash or a really good pickup in deep leagues, because as much as we like to say, oh, it's going to be DeMarcus Robinson, oh, it could be Tyler Johnson, oh, Jordan Whittington he was a stud in Texas and now he's going to be good for the Rams. We don't know. I mean, it's like the Green Bay wide receiving core, but on a much worse team. You just don't know, at this point. Yeah, could be any number of them. Worth a shot.
Justin?
I'm going to say no. Like, I don't know what this Rams offense is. I don't know what they're going to do. They have 4 offensive linemen that got hurt.
Oh, it's so bad.
They only have 4 wide receivers on the roster right now. But and Puka. And they play a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. I don't know if it's going to hinder their run game or their pass game, or it's just going to be garbage.
They should petition the league. They should petition the league to get 2 extra bye weeks and just give those teams W so they don't get anyone else hurt. Just be like, hey, we're just not going to show up.
Does Stafford say, hey, like, trade me? Like, this year's washed. Like, I don't like it's bad. Like, this is
my gosh.
Like this is the team that is like the picture of what fantasy football season is. They have their left tackle got hurt. Their left guard got hurt. Their center got hurt. Both their starting wide receivers got hurt. Like, I don't know what they do on offense.
Their defense isn't any better. They have like 5 starters on defense that are out.
I don't
their
know.
Their whole team's beat up pretty
bad for them. I don't know.
I think Josh, I think it's okay to take a stab at him late because we don't know what they are, but just temper your expectations. It would be an easy cut loose. If you have to cut somebody from your roster to pick up Tutu, I probably wouldn't. But if you've got somebody like they're injured or I need to cut somebody, I think it's worth a shot. But just temper your expectations. The Rams are abysmal right now. They're struggling. But
that's what an interesting idea of Stafford asking for a trade. I mean, like,
yeah, I know.
If
I don't
Stafford
think that'll happen, though.
Yeah, I get that. But
trade me to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's the same conversation with Bryce Young. Do you just get out of Bryce Young right now, know you're going to have a high pick, and trade him to the Giants or to the Dolphins? Right? Like, he played with Tua and Waddle. Like, Bryce Young played with all those guys.
Wow.
Do you send Bryce
If
Young?
If they trade Bryce Young, that GM will not have a job.
Absolutely not.
That is the worst. I mean, so
GM
you,
for the
you traded. Yes.
But he didn't draft him.
Oh, that's right. You're correct. So he okay. You're right. But what if? I mean, that is the worst trade ever for them.
The Bears swindled them, and they still get a second. That's the crazy thing. The trade's not done.
Yeah, I know. And they end up trading him to Miami or something. Oh boy.
Why? Why not?
For what? What is Miami going to offer?
We'll give you a third, so we can. Miami's roster, like, if you look at their cap situation, they are in a win now window. They have to win games. Like, they are full in. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, left tackles getting paid. Both their edges, like, they have a bunch of dudes getting paid right now. Like, they cannot waste seasons. I think what's his name? Is it McDaniels?
Mike McDaniel.
I think his seat is a little bit hotter than people think. Like, they started out hot, but they have been abysmal at the end of games. Like, at the end of seasons, in the playoffs.
So,
like,
then Bryce Young isn't it?
He might be something. We've talked about this with the Jets.
Not for a win now team.
Look at all the Jets quarterbacks that have been bad, and look how they're doing now. Poverty franchises ruin quarterbacks. Sam Darnold looks like a guy. He looks good. Geno Smith has had a career revival. Like, maybe Zach Wilson turns into something. Like, poverty franchises hurt quarterbacks more than I think OCs. Like, if they're poorly run, Like, what if Bryce Young is somebody? Because I just don't see him being that bad in the NFL when he was like the way he played college football should translate to the NFL. It's timing. Not that he had a strong arm. He's a smart kid. It's not like he doesn't know the playbook, but he looks completely defeated out there. Like when Tua came out.
I will tell you who Bryce Young is. Bryce Young is Kyler Murray without the arm and without the legs. He's just a short, small quarterback. Sure. That's it.
Yeah, I get it. But he I think he loves football and he's smart.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't have the athleticness. Maybe someone is doing the same thing that Tua had happened to him with Flores, where it's like, you suck, you're this, you're that. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, maybe I do suck. I just don't want to give up on him. Like he's like that JK. I'm like, come on. Like I think you see like a genuinely good person that you deserve to be good at football. So it's tough.
And
I hate
instead of Bryce Young, I'd rather just call Miami resident Tom Brady and try to get him to come back.
Yeah. They got to do something.
As a Broncos fan, I'm ready. Send him Jarrett Stidham or Zach Wilson. Yeah. Send him those guys. As a Broncos fan who we kept an extra QB with Wilson and Stidham. Send it. Have one. Yeah. Give us stock that war chest. We need the help.
Nope, that's fair. That's fair. Man, a lot to talk about with these injuries. I mean, we could go on and speculate. Could Stafford end up in Miami? That's an interesting take as for a win now team. And bringing a general in there. That's very interesting, Justin. But anyway, lots to discuss, man. If you guys have questions, man, ask away. Thanks for hanging with us. We want nothing more than for you to win your fantasy football league. I know it looks like we got a few people on, but if we have any more questions, we'll stay on for just a bit longer. But what are you guys looking for week 3? What is something you're looking forward to? Like what can help us close the gap a little bit?
I just want to get your guys' feedback on the first 58 minutes of that Monday night game, your expectations, how you felt about the Falcons offense in the last 2 minutes. Do you think this sparks something where Bijan and Kyle Pitts and Drake London turned into something? Well, the way Kyle Pitts played last night, again, he didn't have a great fantasy night, but he was blocking his tail off. That's all I wanted.
He heard you. I heard he listened to the pod and he said, gosh, darn it.
Our freaking tight ends.
My number one Falcons fan.
Our tight ends and our wide receivers in the run game were phenomenal. Phenomenal. That's what I want to see.
You didn't bring up Mooney. I thought Mooney was an absolute baller. He needs to be on your fantasy team. He fits with them very, very well. We didn't bring that up, but Darnell Mooney looked very, very good.
They missed 2 deep balls to him where they ran play action quite a bit and under center stuff. Those shots are going to be open. Like if you play best ball or anything like that, even in redraft, he's going to get some deep plays.
Yeah. Chance, what about you this week?
I want to stay in division, and I'm so sorry, Lineberry. I want to know if Tampa Bay and the Saints are legit, because right now, Tampa Bay and with Atlanta's win over them, the NFC South looks like one of the best divisions in football right now. Tampa Bay looks super hot, really good. So do the Saints. The Falcons have this nice little resurgence. I just want to know the truth about the NFC South. And if you guys think the Bucks or the Saints are both 2-0, I want to know if you think they're legit.
The Saints look good.
The Saints look. It's so hard to judge who's good and who's not. The Saints, you don't accidentally score 40 points twice in a week.
And we would all agree that Dallas's defense is a good defense.
A top 5 tight end, top 5 defense coming into the league, coming into this year. No questions asked. And they've scored 40 points on them with an old running back in Alvin Kamara and a washed Derek Carr and an unknown, undrafted kid out of Weber State. I just don't understand this. I don't understand this season. They are scary. We all knew the Saints defense was pretty legit. They have some old dudes on there. The Saints defense has always been really good. The Bucks one's weird. I don't know how they won that game in Detroit. It doesn't make any sense to me because Detroit probably has one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. There's no reason that they shouldn't be, especially at home. Jared Goff in the dome, they should be killing them.
I will give you a game that I'm very intrigued on because either somebody's going to be 0-3 or both these teams are going to be 1-2. And that's the Dallas Ravens game. Both of these teams, you're like, wow, these teams should be,
That's
3-0 or 2-1. So this is a weird situation. If Dallas beats the Ravens, they're 0-3. If the Ravens win, both teams are 1-2. I'm intrigued in this setup. I'm intrigued in this matchup of who can do, if they can do something, or you start to worry about both of these teams. So I'm intrigued by a lot here. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Again, if you have questions, please ask. We want to know. We want to help you win your fantasy football league. Sorry, Chance, didn't mean to cut you off there, but ask away. Ask lots of questions.
I
Go
just
ahead,
was looking at games, and a game this week that I am intrigued by because it feels like when I looked at this schedule before the season start, I'm like, oh, what a nice easy weekend this is for Houston. But Houston's playing Minnesota, and I want to see if it as a Tank Dell owner in a couple of leagues, what do I do with Tank Dell? Is Tank Dell he seems like the odd man out, and I've been on that hype train a lot, and Tank Dell feels like the guy who's odd man out right now.
He does, which is really interesting because CJ Stroud really wanted Tank Dell last year. Just give him to me. I want him. And then you bring in Diggs, and Diggs commands a little bit, and you're like, wow, okay. I really thought Diggs would be the 3 out of there, and Dell would be the 2, but it doesn't seem to be the case, at least early on game planning and strategic wise. So I'm not completely out on Dell, but yeah, I definitely want to see if the strategy changes a little bit as the season goes on.
Yeah, battle undefeateds here. I don't think anybody had this. Chargers and the Steelers. What is gonna happen there? Super interesting.
Justin Fields starting. Looks like Justin Fields is going to start.
Yep.
And he played well.
Yep.
I think he played well against the Broncos.
They give him structure, and he plays in that structure. That's all you gotta do for your quarterback.
He still looks a little broken to me, like just watching him play. But they are trying to make it very simple for him, for sure.
Yep.
I do think
George Pickens, Chance.
Yeah, I was going to say
he's scary. He's a scary receiver.
Yeah.
Like he got 2 bad calls again in that game. He's alpha. He's an alpha.
I watched that game, and
good night.
It did not show up in the stat sheet, but if you watch that game, he ate against Pat Surtain. I mean, he had Pat beat many times, and a couple were called back on some penalties, but I agree. I think George Pickens, especially, he's gonna fit Russell Wilson if he comes in. He fits really well with.
I don't think it matters.
Justin
He's got to get him the ball.
Yeah, he's a dude.
He killed AJ Terrell, and Terrell just got paid as a top 5 corner. He killed him.
Mm-hmm.
He's
crazy.
He's a problem.
Yeah, Dolphins.
Josh just commented that George Pickens cooks Surtain all day long, and
he's different.
He's different, man. He is different.
Dolphins, Seahawks. Dolphins 1-1, Seahawks 2-0. Who do you guys like this week out of that matchup?
I am going to be intrigued to see how Skylar Thompson.
They're going to start Huntley. They're going to start Huntley.
Pro Bowl quarterback Huntley.
Yep. Yeah. Snoop Huntley, baby. They're going to start him.
I think what we saw out of Seattle, I think they are figuring it out, and I hate it. I hate Seattle, and I hate that they're. I love it for DK. DK looks stud.
And
JSN looked really good too.
They figured, hey, maybe this guy's good.
Yeah,
so,
but
maybe
they look good.
A-Chan will get a lot of work for sure. We'll see what they do. With the quarterback situation is going to be tough. They're still talented. The Dolphins are, but Seattle looks pretty decent. So we'll see how it plays out.
I will say, if you end your waiver wire and you try to go get a tight end and somebody else got him, I think Johnny Smith could be a really sneaky start this week.
Agreed.
Because no matter what quarterback it is, they're going to need that little bit of safety valve. And Jonnu Smith is their wide receiver 3 right now. I mean, they do not have a wide receiver 3. He's explosive. He's a talented tight end. And he's going to be, I mean, I think he could definitely be that check down guy.
Yep. Well, gosh, we are at the hour mark, everybody. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you have a question, man, leave a comment in the comments after the show. But thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to wrap it up tonight. Justin, any last words before we bail out of here this evening?
I'm just so glad. Again, the Falcons didn't ruin my Monday night. Like that was, it felt like a cathartic experience where it feels like the Falcons are always on the other side of those games, and like hopefully we exercise those demons where we stop choking those late games away. Where we finally took one, like we took one away from somebody, and it was super fun to watch. I hope they keep going with that Kansas City game. Will be very interesting to see how they play against them.
I've never been a bigger Atlanta Falcons fan than
Let's go!
next Sunday night.
Chance, anything on your end?
No, all I can think about right now is how the refs continue to give Kansas City wins. Okay, so the Falcons have to play against not only the Kansas City Chiefs, but the referees and the NFL at large. Tough.
Yep. Final words for me. We told you Marvin Harrison Jr. to be good. Hopefully you went out and traded for him last week on a buy low. The kid can ball. The kid can play. But until then, we might be back tomorrow with some start sits. So join us tomorrow, and we'll do this one more time for the week. Have a great evening, everybody. It's great to see you, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow.